Number one on this list is not being able to validate the business model or the product or the services that you are offering before investing your time and your money on your business. So, what does this mean? Diba, sometimes kasi when we start a business, when we have this grand, this nice, this really grand and big idea, tendency is we do not take a step back to think and validate muna if this certain business model or this certain product or service is accepted by the market or will be accepted by the market, di ba? So validating is an important and is a crucial step before starting a business. Kasi by then, even before building it, even before constructing, even before going into market, you know already, you have an understanding that this business or your business model or your product or products or your services can work because there is a demand. Because there is a demand for it, diba? So, before, when I started out, when I co-founded the Avant-Garde Live, which later turned into Ali Creative Learning, an online educational platform. Back then, 2017, based on our initial research, online learning is not yet not yet that popular or not yet that in demand. So we wanted to become one of the pioneers. We wanted to become one of the pioneers of online learning, online education. Kasi we have seen that in other countries, particularly in the US, that online learning has been accepted by their market even way before. So we wanted to see if kakayanin ba namin na the market can accept online learning. So what we did is we started off muna syempre with our field of expertise, which is in the creative industry, diba? So what we did is we launched a series of online classes that people can watch and enjoy and enjoy anywhere and everywhere at their own pace and at their own time. So one of the mistakes that I can honestly say that we did, that I personally did, is we did not validate if there is a market for it. Yes, be natin true enough, after launching Ali Creative Learning, there were a lot of people who bought our classes, and I can remember the very first sale that we made. It was one of the most exciting things that has happened. Kasi we were able to see that yes, people are willing to buy these online classes, these distant learning, diba? So although we were not able to validate it as much as we can, we saw that there is a sort of a demand for it. So ayan, so we continued on with our online learning platform, and it grew for a time, di ba? Pero what we did not expect and anticipate is the validation that from the certain market that we are trying to tap, which are the creative people, is that is it as much as in demand as for, let's say, workshops, in-person workshops or training. So that is one of the challenges that we faced. So my point, I guess, is that before even launching and risking a lot of money, because back then we really risked a lot. We risked and we invested a lot of money into Ali Creative Learning, a lot of our time, a lot of our own personal money into Ali Creative Learning without first understanding if there is a market and how big that market is, diba? So, and I remember a time when we pitched this to an investor. Clearly, the investors said the same thing, ba? Parang is there a market for it? And in my own personal belief, I told the investors that yes, there is a market for it, but the problem is the biggest problem that I realized is how big is that market. So it did not mean that there is entirely no market for it, because we had the customer base, we had a lot of people from outside Metro Manila, from rural provinces, from distant areas outside Metro Manila, who who were the big portion of our customer base. We saw that there are a lot of people buying it, but we did not know yet how big exactly that market is. So just because something did not work for the first time does not mean that it's not gonna work again tomorrow. Because one of the things that I realized, that maybe what if the market that I am tapping is not yet ready for that type of platform or service. So it might not be viable now, or it might not be as popular right now, but maybe perhaps tomorrow, or next year, or a few years from now, it might be the biggest in-demand product of all time, diba? So we will never know. So before launching your own business, try to validate it muna. Try to validate and understand, para you will reduce the risks. Reduce the risks of starting up a startup business or startup company. You will not, you are confident enough that when you launch, there is a market waiting to buy your products or your services or your platform.